So here we are then on our very first map of the night, Paradise by Table. The previous lap record from step 3 was a 24.050 from Papu, but it has actually been beaten last time around by Papu again with a 123.872. So the concept of this map is very, very simple. So concept and identity is pretty simple. So comprising of these wall turns right here. The original strat is to actually get a spin upward in the banked part to actually align yourself with the downward slope, and eventually use that to get a pretty tight line and go through to the other part. But another strat has emerged where people are actually not going for the spin and actually going really high up and ducking low at the last minute, lining up for that slope, and then getting much faster exit speed out of it. But it is also a pretty risky strat on its own, as we're going to be seeing some of the players trying to perform that right now, as we're heading into the identity actually with Gwen on this warm-up. There's definitely a varying philosophies in this particular identity. The free will section that we saw right here can be pretty easy to lose a ton of momentum here, especially if you're not careful and touch the wall a little bit. Let's actually see Gwen going for the higher strat of actually getting high early and then ducking low at the last second, going for the higher exit speed, but you risk falling off the map more easily. Kappa and Papu going for the safer, for intended way of going for the upward spin. Here we go for step 5 of the Grand League. We're getting started right here, right now, and we're going to get started with probably one of my favorite shots of all time, the heli cam, or rather the Chase West cam, as I like to call it. After the first checkpoint, the whole shot is going to be Papu's with a 10.925 with Riolu and Carl Jr., Masa and Afi behind them. Tween in the middle of the pack in P7 at the previous checkpoint. Spamma and Brent currently rounding off the final part, the end of the lead pack, as we're heading towards the jump through the hoop right here. Brent going really wide, but everybody making it through the jump. Second jump, everybody managing to clear it. Yep, no big mistakes so far as we head onto the negative camber dirt turn. Make sure to not go too far down the inside, otherwise you're gonna get protracted hang time. That is definitely no bueno. Meanwhile, Gwen and Papu, the battle that we saw on map 5 and 6 of step 4 is still going on at the start of map number 1, with Gwen currently leading Papu, pack in third, Scrappy and Afi in fourth and fifth, and actually Afi touching a little bit on the outside of the dirt will drop down to last place. Meanwhile, our man Twin is currently sitting in P10 at the present moment, trying to chase down Kappa, and whilst also fending off the attacks of Evon, and it was a mistake from Pack, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Pack down to 15th after a mistake at this free will part, so that will benefit a lot of players, including Carl Jr. moving up to P3. Twin heading into the identity for the first time, with Carl Jr. having taken the lead from Gwen. Going for the high line, ducking at the last minute. Will he clip the outside? No, he will not fall outside the map either. Carl and Papu in first and second. Spam, Bren, and Tween battling for P3. Papu touching the outside wall. He's missed up the identity. Meanwhile, Tween manages to get it through, but it is absolutely slower compared to a lot of the people out there. So Yannick's past him. He's down in P13. Spam, Kappa, and Afi having made tremendous mistakes, as well as Papu. So they're pretty much down in 13, 14, 15, and P16 for Afi after that small exit, after that small mistake at the exit of the dirt. And you can see from the helicam, the gaps have quite well and truly widened to the point where he can get a much wider shot of the map right now. Papu having a sluggish exit out of the jump through the loop, so he's forced to take the safe way. Masa having a sluggish exit at the cut, at the secondary jump. So yeah, Masa will get overtaken by Papu. Masa down to P13. Meanwhile, Carl and Bren, the former teammates of Team Solary, are currently looking to be set in first and second. Tween down in P11, currently fighting off with Yannick for the benefit of 10th position. Up ahead are Aurel, Evon, Matt. Oh, Matt's touching the inside just before the turnover. That's not a good place to actually have a crash. And so Matt will go down to P11, promoting everyone up a place behind him. Tween going for a higher speed, into the corner, but it doesn't work against Yannick this time around. Meanwhile, at the front, Carl, Brennan, Pack 1, 2, 3, as we head into the identity for all these players. All three going for the high line, ducking really early for Pack. Bren almost going towards the outside and falling outside the map, but actually managing to keep it on the road. But a much slower exit for Bren will yield him P6. Carl Jr. in first place, with Pack in second place with a 123.529 for Pack. I think this is indeed a new lap record from Pack at the moment. Evon up into P3. Aurel in P4, Tween up to P7 as a result of that. Up next is the battle up front between Bren, Scrappy for P5, and then Aurel a little bit further up ahead in 4th position as we're heading into the jump right here. Secondary jump to clear, nicely done. Some people getting a little bit of an early landing as Bren and Scrappy demonstrated it up front. Through the negative camber turn. Tween trying to reel in Bren and Scrappy at the same time. He's half a second down on the battle for 5th place at the moment. Meanwhile, up front, the gaps have shortened quite a bit between Carl and Pack. They're within a 1/10 of each other. Pack trying to make a move at the turnover, not managing to make it stick as we're heading to the first freewheel section of this map. Wider line for Pack, able to carry much more momentum, going really close to the wall, almost brushing it to do, that could cause so much damage, but still managing to keep 2nd place, making a move stick on Carl Jr. before the Identity, not quite there, neck and neck as we head on to the Identity. Pack trying to overtake Carl Jr. Carl with a slower exit than Pack at the first one will get overtaken by Pack. Now the second one is important. Do not touch the wall on the outside. Do not get too wide on the exit. Pack manages to keep it together and takes the lead from Carl Jr. entering into lap 4. Carl 2nd and Evan up into 3rd. Meanwhile, Bren and Scrappy got both overtaken by Tween, so Tween up into P5 after lap number 3. Not too shabby of a progression from our man from the Pittsburgh Knights. He's got 0.3 of a second between himself and Aurel in P4, and Evan a little bit further up the road, 0.6 up in P3, and then quite a bit of a gap between the top 2 fights and 3rd position. 1.6 seconds between Carl Jr. and Evan in 2nd and 3rd place respectively, whilst Pack tries to keep Carl Jr. at bay. The Canadian is trying to reel the Brit in. It's going to be really close between these two, as it's been close between some of the other players that we've seen so far, such as Gwen and Papu, but unfortunately Papu has made quite a horrendous mistake that we didn't catch on camera on lap 3, so he's down in last position. Checking in back on Tween as we head onto the turnover for the 4th time in this step. Still in 5th place, but having dropped quite a bit of time compared to Aurel, and actually seeing Bren and Scrappy growing bigger and bigger in his mirrors. He's going to have to go on the defensive and try to up his pace if he is to keep that 5th place safe from the 2 players that are behind him. Pack and Carl going high, Evan going high, Aurel going high, Scrappy with much higher speed going high as well. Tween with a much better exit speed though. Keeping P5 briefly as Scrappy tries to make a move stick at the second part. Not quite. The Belgian will still stick into P6. Pack will remains in the lead. Actually pulled a gap of 0.8 to Carl Jr. in 2nd place. Evan in P3 got completely lost. He is completely out of the fight for the lead. Currently 2.5 seconds down on the leader. 1.8 seconds down on Carl Jr. in P2. Then Aurel in P4. Further 0.8 down, and then half a second down we find Tween trying to catch back up to the GamingPD.com driver in 5th position, trying to challenge for P4, trying to make some gains happen. 10th, the goal here for 4th is to get 10 points in the bag. That could still be a really good starting point to get 4th or even 5th. 9 points for 5th, 10 points for 4th. Remember, with the current point system, Evan, Aurel, and Tween, 3rd, 4th, and 5th at the present moment, with Pack and Carl Jr. The gap starting to actually get somewhat stabilized to around 0.7 of a second between the 2 world champions. As we're heading back to the perspective of Carl Jr. at the very moment. Heading into the Identity for the penultimate time. Pack going high, Carl Jr. going high. Actually, Aurel has made a mistake, and he's down to P6 as he got overtaken by Tween and potentially by Gwen. Yes, oh no, Tween, what happened? No, that's such catastrophe. Tween, who got it so good, touches the CP at the exit, and he's down in P14. What just happened there for our man? That looks so good. Heading into the final lap, Tween is down in 14th position. He's gonna have to do some damage limitation here to try and get at least a few points on the board. Meanwhile, Pack and Carl Jr., there's pretty much the status quo, with the gaps having widened to 0.9 to almost a second even between the 2 of them. Evan in P3 is completely gone at this point in the race. 2.4 seconds down on Carl Jr. in 2nd position. Then Gwen up into 4th place, with Aurel up in 5th, trying to fight off the challenge of Bren for said 5th position. Bren's trying to get a good step going as well. He's one of those players that, alongside our man, that needs points more than ever right now. He needs to get a good step going to actually have any chance of getting to the playoffs. This could actually be really good, be good for him to get a 5th place on the first map. Evan trying to safeguard that P3 from Gwen. The Game Ward driver, 16-year-old driver, tries to put a move on Evon. He makes it stick through the free wheel section, but much more speed for Evon. Sees the pole, retake third place. Meanwhile, final lap of the step and of the season on Paradise. Pack managing to keep the lead. Carl Jr. in second. Now the final identity to go. Will there be heartbreak at the exit of it? No. Pack will get the map win in front of Carl Jr. Evon managing to keep in P3, Gwen P4, Brent 5th, Aurel 6th, Spam sniping Scrappy at the last second, Massa 9th, Kappa 10th, Matt in P11, and Tween, unfortunately for him, with another mistake at the identity, 12th for Yannick, 13th for Afi, 14th for Riolu, and it will be P15 for Tween, as Papu will be crossing the start-finish line in last place and only get 1 point on the board. Not a good start for the Gamers Origin driver. And so, Pack, with the fastest lap of the race as well, 123.529 in the new lap record, gets 22 points on the board and takes the lead after map number 1. Carl Jr. in second place with 14 points, third place for Evan with 12, Gwen fourth with 10 points, and 9 points for Brennan fifth, as we are heading into the second map, which is going to be Cyclone by Firestorm. So this quick loading pause allows me to tell hello to everyone who just joined. Hello to Phoebe who's actually on the stream. Thank you very much for stopping by, and I hope you're having a great weekend. I hope everyone is doing well. If you feel like, if you actually want to see more casts like this, with the next one being OGL Step 5 next week, then hit the bell to be notified when I go live, and hit the follow button as well. And if you want to get more people in there, feel free to share the stream around wherever it is that you are. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Discord, and whatnot. Spread the word. Here we go. Map number 2, which is Cyclone by Firestone. The lap record got beaten last week as well. It was a 112.240 by Scrappy, and Evon took that lap record with a 112.013. We could potentially see a 111 on this map, granted that another driver is able to actually keep the pace up. Yeah, this is where Evon managed to get the fastest lap on the board, and this is also where Tween got his very first map win of his Grand League season, and so far his only map win came on this map on step number 3. Thank you very much for the kind words to us. So, this 4 wide is really important. Get high, then keep the car at angle, then dive low at the last second to initiate the ice slide. And this ice slide is really important. Do not lose it midway through the corner. Otherwise, it can really spell disaster. And also watch out for your exit. Missing the ice slide through the corner will actually get yourself through into the ice, get yourself through into the wall. And also at the exit, if you touch the wall ever so slightly, the speed penalty can kick in, completely wrecking everything, and also avoid crashing into the poles. Unlike we saw what Tween did at the exit of that ice bar. Then the identity, which is basically this big donut, this funnel, as I like to say. Go for the midway height and make sure not to drop too low too quickly, otherwise you might get sent back up the funnel way too fast and completely miss the mark and miss the finish line, either going for a free round of the donut, or completely fall at the exit and force yourself to respawn, and that would be no good. As we're heading into the second map of this step, back with the West Cam shot. Everybody getting on the right side of the road to take the booster to give themselves some initial run-up as we get to the whole shot. Massa gets the whole shot with a 6.4541 in first place. Currently, Bren at the tail end of the field after 2 checkpoints with the dirt. As we're going to be heading into the grass part right now. Aurel having a bad landing out of the platform turn, so he finds himself left behind quite a bit by the leading pack. He's 8/10 down on the leader. Currently, Riolu at the top end of the field, with Tween also in a good scrap with Scrappy at the dirt, second platform part, and then we're heading into the ice slide. Let's actually check in the perspective of Afi from Team BDS at the moment. Tween is right at the forefront. You can see the name tag up front. Tween going for a rather late ice slide, going really wide on that ice slide, and actually managing to keep it together. Gwen touching the pole on the outside, if I'm not mistaken, so he will drop down to P12. Scrappy having made a pretty botched up job, and the leader of the standings, Carl Jr., is completely out of it, 11 seconds down on the leader after a mistake at the ice part. Meanwhile, let's actually check in back in on Tween. He's in 10th place, just behind the leading group, but we're gonna have to see how this goes for our man as we have the identity with Spam leading in front of Massa and Yannick in the top 3. Make sure to not go too high too quickly. Tween managing to keep it under control, and we'll cross in P10. Spam, Matt, and Bren. 1, 2, 3. Spam with the 115.576. having the reference time. Let's actually check in on Matt, who's right in the thick of the leading pack at the moment. Actually, Spam making a breakaway, making a run for freedom in the lead with half a second of a gap between himself and Riolu in P2. Tween overtaking Matt for the benefit of P9. And the battle still raging on between the two drivers from two US organizations. Pittsburgh Knights for Tween, Space Station Gaming for Matt. Next up is the two Swiss drivers with two Swiss organizations. BDS is Afi and Endovice Esports is Yannick's. Spam clear in the lead with 0.6 of a second of a gap between himself and Riolu. Spam looking pretty good through there. Was there any mistake? Massa has managed to make the most out of a superb ice slide and move through to second place alongside Bren in P3, Riolu down to P4, Yannick's in P5, and we had a mistake from Matt, who unfortunately is down in P13 as a result of pretty poor ice slide, it seems like. Meanwhile, Tween up into 7th position. Next up is Pac, the 2016 world champion, is the next target for our man. With Yannick's a little bit further up the front in P5, Riolu in P4. Let's actually check in on the three leaders. Spam, Massa, and Bren. Massa going really high, actually managing to keep that second place and get the fastest lap of the race with a 1:12.193 in the books for the Berlin International Gaming driver. Dennis Slotzer looking pretty good in terms of pace with that time right now. Tween up to P5, having managed to go past Yannick, who's made a mistake, and Pac also getting overtaken by Tween. So Tween up into 4th place after the start of lap number 3. Next up is the three leaders at the moment with Spam, Massa, and Bren. 1, 2, 3 at the moment, heading into the ice slide in 5 seconds. Marek is looking to get some revenge after the poor happenings on step number 4 on this map as well. Spam going almost outside of the wall, right, trying to get as much speed as he can on the downward stroke. Bren touching the inside of the wall, and the Kamito Corp driver will be down. Spam having a slower exit than Massa. Massa up into the lead. Tween up into 2nd place, looking really good. Meanwhile, Bren is down to P11 after that horrendous mistake, and even down to P12 as Papu overtakes him. Tween in 2nd, Yannick's up into P3. Spam is down to P4 after that mistake, dropping 2 places. Meanwhile, Yannick seems to have make the most out of the mistakes of other people and managing to keep himself some consistency. Meanwhile, Massa and Tween might have a battle on their hands for the lead as they're getting closer and closer to each other. Tween having a really sketchy slide out of this funnel, so it could have been absolutely disastrous. Meanwhile, Yannick's also catching back up to Massa, and this could be a three-way fight for the lead between all three drivers. Tween the fastest man on lap 3 with the 1:12.310 at the line on lap number 3. Lap 4, Tween and Massa first and second, Yannick's in P3 and Spam in P4. These are the 4 contenders for the lead at the moment. Then a further bit behind, we find Yannick's in 5th, Aurel behind him in 6th, and Pac and Kappa completing your top 8 so far. As we're going to be heading back to the lead fight with Yannick's under pressure from Spam and under threat for 3rd place. Meanwhile, Tween is trying to overtake Massa, trying to make the move stick as we head to the ice slide for the 4th time in this map. Massa going really wide, Tween going tight, losing the drift. Spam loses the drift as well. Spam will be completely out of it. Meanwhile, Tween has managed to get more speed than Massa, and he takes the lead from Yannick's in P2. This could be absolutely superb for Yannick's at the moment. This could actually mean some big points on the board. 14 points for a 2nd place finish. Remember, in this Grand League point system, Massa up into P3, down to P3 with that poor ice slide from him. As we're heading to the identity for the 4th time and heading towards the penultimate lap of this race, Tween leads Yannick's by around 0.7 of a second and currently is looking pretty good. Massa down to 3rd, Pac up to 4th. Around Kappa, Gwen, and Riolu completing the top 8 at the moment. Maybe this could be at last a good stem for Riolu. Let's actually hope so for Mr. Streamer, that he will be able to get some good points on the board. Meanwhile, Carl Jr. is down in last place after that and has not been able to make anything happen after that. After that horrendous mistake, he might be at risk of not being able to finish the map. It should be really careful to actually follow the gaps between the leader and the last place finisher, because this could mean no points on the board for Carl. That could be devastating. Yannick's trying to reel in Tween heading into the ice slide. Tween again going for a tight slide, as does Yannick's. Yannick's going for a bit tighter, but drops a lot of speed compared to Massa. And actually Massa with a supreme ice slide, it seems like, moves through and storms through to P2. And the next target for him is Tween, trying to get that lead back, trying to prevent the Slovak from getting himself a 2nd map win of the season and try to get some 20 points on the board. Brent with the fastest lap with a 1:12.120. We're currently around a 10th away from the lap record that is held by Evon at the present moment. Tween crossing the start finish line to start the final lap in the lead, half a second in front of Massa in second place, and then 2/10 down. We find Pack, who's managed to get himself ahead of Yannick's, who's dropped quite a bit of time, and he's finds himself 6/10 down on Pack. Pack moving into a battle for P2 at the moment. This could be really close. Gwen, the fastest man on lap 5, and taking the new lap record with 1:11.783. The 1:11s have shown in the end, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, it is indeed 1:11.783 for Gwen, who takes the 2 points for fastest lap so far. Let's see if we're gonna have to see if someone else tries to actually break that barrier. Pack and Massa battling for second position. Tween onto the final lap, heading into the lead with 7/10 of an advantage to the top 2 battle at the front. Pack will miss the wall barely. Massa with a slow exit was forced to release, and he's down to P3. Pack with more speed than Tween. He will try to take the lead before the identity. Now it's gonna be the time for Tween to shine and try to keep that lead from Pack. It's gonna be really close. It's gonna be at the line that this is decided, with the identity coming up for the final lap. The ice section from Pack was absolutely insane compared to the rest of the field. As we're heading into the identity, Tween is right within the gearbox of Pack. Let's actually see how this goes. Pack going high, Tween going low, ducking low. Let's actually see how this goes. Pack has got less speed. It's at the line. Tween takes it for 1/100th of a second. Pack second place. Aurel in P3. Massa P4. Kappa 5th. Gwen 6th. Yannick and Ryulu completing the top 8. Bren P9. Spam P10. Afi 11th. Evon in P12. Papu finishing down in P13th. Scrappy in P14 heading into the identity. A photo finish at the end of race 2, the second race win of the season. Map sniping Scrappy for P14, P15 for Scrappy, and Carl Jr. has retired. Dropping too much time, he might have considered that it was not worth it to continue and does not score any points. As a result of map number 2, then Pack takes the lead with 36 points on the board in first place, 22 points for Tween in second, 20 points for Aurel and Gwen in third and fourth. As we're going to be heading into stage 2, we're done with the no points loss phase. We're heading into the half points loss phase. This is stage 2, where 50% point loss occurs for anyone finishing in the bottom 8 of the following 2 maps. Starting up with Link's Circles, with the fastest lap taken by Papu. Last time we won with a 1:14.450. Pretty interesting map from Link, it must be said, with the identity not really as crazy as some people might think. So yeah, it is to jump in between these 2 circles right here that you see, with the checkpoint running right between them. So here, jump with this small bumper road block into the circle, then release and turn at the turn at the precise timing to keep a low line onto the first transfer jump right here. Then go through the checkpoint and get the reactor and get yourself a little bit of boost. Then release a little bit early and try to get the transfer jump and keep as low a line just above the signs that you see right here on the screen, and then land on the other side. Try to land good and try to keep yourself on the road, and then use the speed at the landing to carry yourself over to the final checkpoint with this freewheel section in the final corner to start a new lap. So we're going to be heading into the identity actually with the perspective of Carl Jr. at the moment. Little bump jump into the first circle, then transfer jump, keep a low line. It can be extremely easy to actually time it too early and completely full stopic inside of the wooden walls of the quarter pipe, and it can be easy to mess up the second transfer too. So it could be really, really key to have this down absolutely consistently if you have to have any option and any chance of actually getting a good finish on this map. Anyways, map 2 about to get underway. We're going to be getting back with the West Cam shots. Here we go, and you're going to see this on the left-hand side of your screen. Bottom 8 will lose half of their points. So here, it's going to be absolutely paramount to get it right. Standing with the ice corner, whole shot for Gwen after checkpoint number 1, and Matt missing completely the ice slide, and so falling down in last place. Carl Jr. also being left behind at the second ice slide. Onto the grass they go. Carl Jr. regrouping with the lead pack at the very moment. Yannick's taking the lead and trying to pull away from Papu and Aurel in second and third, and the rest of the lead pack that swarm everyone behind him. Tween currently tailing off at the end. This is where Tween made a mistake last week. Let's see if he actually learned his lesson. Yes, he manages to make it through the checkpoint and go into first place as we're heading into the reactor boost section. The turnover, make sure to get a diagonal line here to keep those transition as smooth as possible. Then onto this wall right with a small patch of ice, and actually Tween going without the patch of ice, going for a low line. That is absolutely risky to go for Tween, but ends up we are gonna get himself 7th place and potentially P4 as we're heading into the identity. Pack and Yannick having a battle of their own for first and second. Tween, Gwen up into 3rd position. heading into the first transfer jump. Let's actually see the perspective of Tween. Oh, small clip at the exit, but still managing to get through. That could have been catastrophic. No, he bonks into the wall. He will be able to go through there, but lose a ton of speed as a result of that. He's down in P15, quite a fair bit behind the top 8 needed for safety. 2 seconds, 2.2 seconds at the end of lap 1 between Tween and safety. Actually, Spam has messed up the ice slide, so yeah, he finds himself down in P14 as well. Meanwhile, at the front it is Papu, Pak, and Afi in one to actually Pak and Afi, as Papu seemed to have made a mistake. He drops down to P5 at the moment, currently at the tail end of the lead group. Yeah, it is actually lead group Phoebe that it also doubles as a cool scenery. So far, everybody in the top 8 crossing the identity without any hitch. Tween 2 seconds down on the top 8 needed for safety. He's going to have to try and catch back up to Scrappy up first if he's to have any chance to catch back up to the top 8 fights. Meanwhile, let's actually check in on the Belgian. Scrappy currently battling with Evon for P11 at the moment, heading into the free wheel, dive low into the grass part. Evon remaining ahead of the Belgian for now. Packen off, he's still first and second. Kappa up into third place. The Veloci driver trying to recoup some of the lost advantage that some of the lost points that he had during step 4. Afi trying to overtake Pack at the identity, but Pack manages to keep it going, or they're neck and neck. Let's actually check in on the final part. Afi has Pittsburgh speed into the free wheel, and so takes to the flag on the lead at the end of lap number 2 with the 1:14.687, the current fastest lap of the race. Meanwhile, let's actually check back in on Tween. Yannick seems to have made a mistake right now, and so he finds himself down in P12, P13 for Tween at the moment, 7/10 down on Yannick's at the present moment. He's going to try to catch him back up and trying to reel him in and trying to get some positions going on. It is going to be really important to not lose as much points as he did last week at the present moment. He entered into the first maps with 18 points, and unfortunately he did lose quite a bit in maps number 3 and 4 with bottom 8 finishes. Unfortunately for him, not able to score many points for to actually counteract the loss, unfortunately. Meanwhile, Afi has taken to the lead with Kappa in second place, and Pack in P3 tries to fend off the attacks of Papu for P4. Kappa touching the wall, and so he will be down quite a bit. Evon passing him. Yannick's going to be up next, and Tween is a further 8/10 down in P13. So yeah, Kappa down to P10 with that small wall touch just before the part leading up to the identity. So yeah, pretty big mishap on behalf of Martin Krumpolch, unfortunately. Afi up into first place still, 6/10 ahead of Papu in second place. Massa and Orel catching back up to him, and Pack still making this a really nice fight for top 2 position right now. And they're all trying to reel in Afi at this point in time. Meanwhile, Tween seems to have made a mistake at the ice line, completely missing it, and he's down to 3 seconds down on Yannick. So yeah, this could very well be a dire situation for Tween at the moment. He's going to have to rely on mistakes further up in the field if he is to have any chance of getting back into the top 8 fight. Currently, top 8 is held by Gwen in 8th place, but he's got Bran just 2.5 tenths behind him. This is going to be really, really close for the top 8 positions. It must be said, very much like the last time around on this map where Spam barely managed to save the top 8 spot and keep his points alive at the end of the step. Afi, Pack 1 and 2. Massa up into P3, battling it out with Papu and Scrappy, with also Carl Jr. back into the mix. So it's going to be really interesting to see how those shake up. Currently, Pack 36 points in the lead of the step. Yannick's currently 12 as well. He's down 1.2 seconds on the top 8, but then Tween is a lot further down. So yeah, there might not be any chance unless something really catastrophic happens to either player of the two in the last 2 laps. Gwen overtaken by Bren at the entry to lap 5 for P8. It's going to be extremely close for that top 8 battle between Gwen and Bren. Evon also not looking to be out of it just yet. He's just 3/10 down onto the top 8, and Gwen has clipped the inside of the platform to promoting Bren up into P9 on P8, and Evon up into P9. Everybody is going to try to get in position up to Yannick at the very least. Tween is quite a long way down the order. Meanwhile, up at the front, Afi, Papu, and Massa in 1, 2, 3. Carl Jr. overtaking Massa for the benefit of 3rd place. Scrappy back up into the top 5. With Pack, Orel, and Brent completing the top 8 at the very moment. He's half a second up on Evon at the very moment. And into the wall right, slow exit from the wall right, it seemed like, by Afi. Yeah, it is indeed somewhat slow. And Carl Jr. will be able to actually take to the fight for against Papu and get himself trying to get himself into second position. in this race, but he's not alone to do it. Pack and Massa are also chomping at the bit as Afi enters the identity in the lead. Nice transfer jump from Papu, who actually gets back to within the clutches of Afi at the present moment, but Afi with much better speed will keep his lead, heading into the freewheel section and head into the final lap as the leader of the race. So 1:14.503, the fastest lap so far for Scrappy, currently sitting in 7th place, well into the top 8. Oral down in P8 at the moment, trying to keep that top 8 alive. He's half a second ahead of Kappa, who is down in P9, but he's still not out of it, with Yannick's a little further behind, still in it to actually score some decent points and potentially keep the points that he's accumulated so far. Meanwhile, Tween, unfortunately, 2.5 seconds down on Evon and 4 seconds down on the top 8 needed for safety. Unless really huge shenanigans happen, it will be game over, unfortunately. Meanwhile, Bren has gone overtaken by Kappa, and Yannick has made a huge mistake, and so he will be down in P10, or even lower than that, P12. Right now, with Tween potentially able to actually gain a position at the end, even though it will be just for the sake of gaining a position. Meanwhile, Afi and Papu first and second, 0.3 of a second between themselves. Then a further 2/10 down, we find Pack in 3rd position, Carl Jr. in P4, Scrappy in P5, Aurel, Kappa, and Bren in the top 8. But Gwen is jumping up the bit. It's going to be a tight battle for the top 8, and Bren has a sluggish entry. He respawns. That's game over for Bren as he gets overtaken by Massa. Tween up into P11. Yannick's up into P10 as Afi will get the race win ahead of Papu, and Pack in 3rd place. Carl Jr. P4, Scrappy P5, Aurel P6, Evon P7, Kappa will finish in the top 8, Yannick's 9th, Tween in P10, Gwen in 11th, Massa 12th, Spam in P13, Riolu P14, Bren down in P15, and last place for Matt, who's going to score a solid 3 points. And Afi taking the fastest lap with a 1:14.477, but no new lap record so far on circles. There's going to be one more step for these maps to actually be taking the lap record on, and it is step 6. 22 points for Afi then, who takes the 2nd place in the standings. 48 points for Pack in the lead, 28 points for Aurel in 3rd, and Tween moves down to the 9th with that finish. He's on 16 points. Hello, Helia. Hope you're doing good. Hello, Mayhem. Don't worry about having missed the beginning of that. You're all right. That's okay. So, map number 4, Bumpy Jumpy by the one and only Tona, the fastest lap in the previous race. The current lap record is held by Gwen with a 1:12.577. This is one of the maps where Tween looks to be actually somewhat decent pace-wise, as was shown in, according to, at least to the TMGL Fall 2020 campaign 6 lap times. But it will be very interesting to see how Tween fares in this particular map. So let's actually check in on the identity right here, which is where, unfortunately, Tween has had a bit of a rocky time. So, this identity consists of a series of jumps, 2 to the right and 1 to the left. The first one to the right through the trees, land on this side, then jump towards the left-hand side of the road, and then jump again towards the right-hand side, land on the right-hand side right here, and then the final turn right here, you get another jump through both pine trees to land on the other side and cross the start-finish line to start another lap. And unfortunately for Tween, this on lap 3 is where this 3rd and final jump of the main part is where, unfortunately, he completely faltered and hit the left-hand side tree. So, yeah, well, let's actually hope that Tween will not be repeating the same mistake again this this one. So first jump here from Tween, 310 kilometers at the first jump, 328 at the second jump, and then 330 at the third jump. Perfect landing through there. And then the final jump through here, we saw Matt messing this up on lap number 1, but here let's hope that everybody manages to make it through slowly and manages to make it through safely through lap number 1 at the very least. We all know that sometimes first laps can be extreme chaos depending on the maps. Here we go. Map number 4 getting underway with a bit of West Cam action from the bumper of these cars. Heading first into the ice section. People going higher than others, trying to get much more speed on the downwards spiral. Pole shot for Pack after checkpoint 1, heading into the dirt. Kappa is currently at the tail end of the leading field at the moment. Oh, Gwen touching the inside of the dirt, and thus he will be dropped down to last place, but Spam has made another mistake as well, and so he's down in last place as we're heading into the grass part and the wall ride, with Tween currently leading after the first few checkpoints. Pack in P2 with Scrappy up into 3rd place as a result of that start. Papu in P4. Pack has made a mistake. Pack currently in the thick of the pack, pun intended. So Yeah, through the grass turn. Oh, what's happened? My sorry, my connection's kind of playing havoc with the stream a little bit. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, currently Tween in 4th position. Carl Jr. clipping a little bit of the girder on the inside, but thankfully no big loss out of it as we're heading to the identity for the first time with our man currently sitting in 4th position trying to chase Bren for the lead. Papu taking the lead from Carl Jr. Oh, barely missing the pole. Second jump, oh, that's sluggish. He's going to be forced to actually make the jump like this. Oh, that looked extremely rocky right from the outset for Tween, and unfortunately that is down to P15 after lap number 1 with Pack having made a currently at the tail end of the field having made a mistake as well. So currently Matt, Tween, Pack, and Spam, 4 contenders making mistakes on the very first lap. As we're going to be heading back towards the lead battle, Massa, Carl Jr., and Papu, as well as Evon, battling for the lead with Scrappy and Bren, Gwen, and Kappa. The top 8 within half a second. As we're heading towards the dirt part right here, people going for the small jump across the void. And managing to get through pretty much unscathed. As Gwen has to re-emerge into the pack, re-emerge into the lead of the race in front of Carl Jr., and Papu in P3, Evon in P4, Massa 5th, Kappa, Bren, and Afi into the top 8 with Scrappy. Also under threat right now for the top 8 positions with Afi, Aurel, and so on, with Spam trying to claw back some of the advantage that he lost. Yannick's also getting into the thick of it, trying to get some decent points on the board potentially. Oh, that's a huge mistake and a huge landing bug, and actually, no, landing bug, it's a huge sluggish landing for Kappa. For Massa, sorry, who is down in P13. Spam and Riolo have overtaken him. Pack is a further bit behind with Tween even further behind than that. Gwen currently still has the lead, holds the lead in front of Papu. Carl Jr. Yannick has made a mistake, so he's down in P10. Actually, Afi in P9. Bren has touched the outside of the dirt, so he's down in P10. Spam actually overtaking for P10, and so down to P11. Bren goes. Meanwhile, Pack and Tween are getting closer to each other. In the bottom end of the field, but at the front, Papu and Evon battling for the lead. Evon taking the fight to the leader and actually taking said lead from Papu, heading into the freewheel section of this lap. Much better speed from Papu, though, enables him to actually get back to within the clutches of Team Secret's Polish driver. Carl in P3, Aurel and Kappa in P4 and 5, and then Scrappy in P6 having a bit of a sluggish time. I think a bit of rally time through the dirt. First jump, second jump, then third jump. Is anyone making a mistake up front? Doesn't seem... Oh, Kappa! As I say that, he completely messes up the landing. It touches the inside wall, and the Czech driver will be out of it as everybody manages to scoot by him. Bren, Riolu, Massa even. And so Afi finds himself to be back into the top 8. 29 points for him. That's going to be some huge points on the board for him. Meanwhile, Pack with 48 points was the leader of the step coming into this map, and it seems as though it is getting tougher and tougher to catch back up to the leading top 8 at the moment. Papu and Aurel first and second. Evon, having made a mistake, is down to 4th place as he gets assaulted by Carl Jr. for 3rd position. Meanwhile, Papu and Aurel, they're wheel-to-wheel, former teammates of Gaming Merzorigin a few years ago, now racing against each other to get the lead of the race. Aurel currently sitting in the lead in front of his former teammate Papu, 2 tenths up on his fellow countryman. Evon in P3 trying to fend on the challenge of Carl Jr., but Carl overtakes him for P3 in the freewheel section. Gwen in P5, Scrappy 6, Afi and Yannick's in P7 and P8. The 2 Swiss drivers into the top 8. So far, so good for the 2 players. As we're heading into the identity, Papu, Carl Jr., Evon, and Aurel has dropped down to P4. Gwen overtaking him potentially, so he's down to P5. As we're heading towards the other part of the identity, Evon with a bit of a nosedive at the landing. Manages to get it through, though, still remaining in P4. Gwen moving up to 3rd position in the space of a few corners. Into the penultimate lap they go. Gwen up into P3. 112.595 for Pack. Right now, Pack still sitting in P14. Tween, having made a few further mistakes, is still in P15, and now Matt is catching back up to him. 10th place for Massa, but he sees up ahead that he's not too far away from the top 8, and Spam is also looking to get a slice of the pie as well, with Bren up in P9, just 3 tenths ahead, 3 tenths behind Yannick's in P8. Oh, the overtake. Does he make it stick on the dirt? Nobody getting a bit of a bug clip. No, it seems as though everybody manages to make it through. And on pace alone, Brent moves up to P7 before the free wheel section. Huge one for... Huge section for Brent, who moves up into P7. Afi down to P9 at the present moment. That's actually checking out perspective for Carl Jr. into the identity for the penultimate time in this step. Papu in first, Carl second, Gwen third, Evon and Orel fourth and fifth, Scrappy, Bren and Yannick in P7 and P8. Bren overtaken by Yannick, Bren down to P8, Massa up into P9. Yes, he has not lost his points yet. There's still one lap remaining for all of these drivers to actually cross the start-finish line and trying to make some positions. Papu still in the lead, but Gwen now moving up into second place. Carl Jr. down to third, Evon into fourth position, Orel fifth, battling with Scrappy for set fifth place, and actually Evon just not far up ahead might make this a three-way fight for P4. Currently it is the Polish driver from Team Secret that has the advantage, but Scrappy tries to make the move stick, tries to make the move. Oh no, Evon, that's a huge unfortunate mistake that happened, not having enough speed to clear the jump, forcing him to respawn. He's down in P10, potentially at risk of losing 11 points and even 12 points at the end of this map. Papu and Gwen first and second, Scrappy inheriting P4, and Carl Jr. having a sluggish landing, so the Belgian moves up to the podium spot in this race. Orel in P5. Orel in P4 actually, as Carl Jr.'s dropped the further places down. Papu and Gwen into the identity. Papu managing to make it through the final jump, and Papu will win the race ahead of Gwen. Gwen taking the fastest lap with 1:12.277. Orel in P3, Scrappy P4, Carl Jr. P5, Brent down to P6, Yannick in P7, Massa in P8, Spam P9, Evon P10, Pack in P11, Afi 12th, Riolu 13th, Kappa 14th, Tween in 15th, and Matt in 16th and last place. So, at the end of 4 maps and 2 stages completed, the physiognomy of the step is looking quite different indeed, with a brand new step later in the person of Orel with 40 points, 38 points for Papu in second position, third place for Carl Jr. with 33, 30 points for Gwen, and 28 for Pack in P5, sorry, as we're heading into the break. So, quick score recap after the first 2 stages. Orel, 40 points in first place, 38 for Papu in second, 33 for Carl in third, 30 for Gwen in fourth, 28 for Pack in fifth, 27th for Scrappy in 6th, 19 for Afi in 7th, and 18 points for Massa in 8th. 18 points as well for Yannick in P9, 17 points for both Bren and Evon in 10th and 11th, 12th place for Kappa with 13, 10 points equal for Spam and Tween in 13 and 14, 15th place for Riolu with 7 points and 4 points for Matt. Final 2 maps, here we go with Glacier Hiking up first with the Westcam, as per tradition, to start off the race. Getting a bit of a front side shot of the field, spreading out as they head towards the first checkpoint right here. Papu with a sluggish landing, Scrappy getting a whole shot after the first checkpoint right here. Then onto this small dirt hill, then onto this jump where you do need quite a bit of speed to actually clear it perfectly. No room for error on this track. A small clip on a single part of the track that does require speed, you can be absolutely done for. Scrappy and Carl Jr. currently trailed behind the lead pack by around 0.2 of a second. Moving on to the grass to ice transition. Moving on right now, Gwen currently leading Kappa, Pack, and Papu. Brad also currently in the leading pair with Tween in the thick of it as we head onto the first slalom on the grass. Some people clipping, and also Massa clipping as well. So, actually, no, it was not Massa, it was Riolu, unfortunately, who clipped. So he's down in P16. People getting enough speed for the jump on the left side, no, on the right-hand side. Riolu is forced to go that way in order to clear the jump as we're heading onto the identity for the leaders. You can see everybody getting the reactor boost sideways on to convert it to a glider, and everybody managing to make it through. Gwen first in front of Bren and Tween for your top 3. 103.671 for Gwen for the fastest lap of the race. Massa in P4, currently on the threat from Evon and Afi for P4 and P5 respectively. Scrappy and Pack in the top 8. The bottom 8 will lose all their points, so that's going to be really important to finish in the top 8. Spam, Yannick, and Carl Jr. are the closest ones potentially to actually make anything happen. Meanwhile, Orel and Papu are the biggest points losers in this whole affair, as they are down 6 and 10 seconds down on the leader, and they're down with 38 and 40 points potentially at risk of being completely lost out into the ether, with currently Spam, Carl Jr. and Scrappy also having a tussle of their own. Carl Carl being super slow into the slalom. This is one of those maps where Carl Jr. was not feeling exactly confident as well. So we're going to have to see how this goes for the reigning champion of the Grand League. As we're heading into the identity with the perspective of our man, Brent touching the CP a little bit to get a little bit of a slowdown. I wonder if it's an intended strat or not. Maybe that might be a little bit of an accident. But, oh, there was a mistake from Massa. He's down in P12, have forced to respawn the identity. And he's down in P12. Pack and Carl Jr. moving up into the top 8, but Carl Jr. is far from safe as Yonex and Scrappy are up next. They're only 4 tenths behind, and actually, they trying to catch back up to the 3-time world champion. Meanwhile, Spam, Pack, and Afi having a battle for P5. Evan a little bit further up ahead tries to catch back up to Tween for P3, who himself is trying to catch back up for a battle for second position. Tween with a slug with much slower ice part compared to Evan, allows Evan to get back to within its clutches as we head onto the slalom for lap 3. Nicely done by the top 4 players. Afi in P5 looking pretty good as well. Now onto the jump towards the left hand side. Make sure to get enough speed to clear the ice hill as well. Afi managed to get enough speed. Pax, Carl, and Scrappy in 6th, 7th, and 8th, and Spam is down in 9th position at the present moment. It seems as though Tween is currently having a dandy old time in this identity, managing to get it 3 for 3 this time around, and currently sitting in 3rd place. And Afi's made a mistake. He's turtled it, managing to get back on his wheels at the reset, but he's completely out of it. He's down in 13th position and out of contention for a top 8 spot at the present moment. Meanwhile, Yonex is closer than ever for a top 8 spot. Scrappy is up next. He's around 0.3 of a second ahead of Yonex at the moment. Meanwhile, Evan has managed to get past Tween just before the grass part, so Evan making some moves up front, trying to get some points on the board, and currently sitting in 3rd place. Brennan P2 with Gwen currently leading 1.5 seconds ahead of the Kameto Corp driver. So Gwen looking really strong so far in this first half of the race. Evan having touched a little bit on the inside, it seems, so he might actually lose P3 to the benefit of Tween at the next CP. Yep, Tween overtakes Evan for P3. Scrappy up into P5. Actually, Scrappy made a mistake. He's down to P10. Yonex up into the top 8. As Gwen, Brandon, Tween go through the identity with a glider. Gwen still in the lead, 1 second ahead of Bren, having lost a bit of time in the identity, it seems, with Tween just a further 7 tenths down on Bren at the present moment. Evan in P4, and Scrappy and Carl Jr. at jeopardy. Scrappy is the last one is the latest one to have made a huge mistake, so Scrappy might be out of it here. Pack has made a mistake as well. 28 points potentially down the drain for the Brit. That could be devastating for him, even though he's in P2. So it will be really interesting. Carl seems to be in a safe position in the top 8. He's got 3.3 seconds of a gap between himself and Scrappy in P9, with only thing to worry about trying to get some positions further up ahead and get more points on the board, as he could potentially be in with a shot of taking the lead of the Grand League step if there is a mistake up front. It seems that Gwen has made a mistake, so Bren is up into the lead with Evan in P2 and Tween in 3rd place, heading into the penultimate identity crossing. Bren in the lead, Evan in P2, Tween in P3, heading into the final lap. Bren full stoppings, and so he's down in 7th position at the very moment. Scrappy in P8 and Carl Jr. in P9. What happened to Carl Jr.? What happened to Carl? He's forced to respawn. He had too much speed. Carl Jr. is out of it. Riolo battling with Scrappy. What is going on right now? Scrappy and Riolo having a battle for P8. Riolo potentially trying to get one on Scrappy and make him lose all his points. That could be devastating for the Team Lazarus player. Meanwhile, Tween and Evan having a battle for the lead at the moment. Evan currently having the advantage of a gap of 2 tenths, but the gap is shrinking after a sluggish ice exit from the Polish driver, although he managed to keep it at the slalom. Ooh, he could have fallen out, Tween. So yeah, it will be really interesting at the final identity to see if there's any time gain from Tween. It will be all decided right there. Flipping over into the reactor boost. Oh, maybe this was a much speedier exit. Oh, Evan is just in front of him. Evan will manage to get the map win in the end. And he wins for less than 100th of a second from Tween in 2nd place. Gwen in P3, Pop P4, spamming P5, Yonex P6, Real and Scrappy in the top 8. Bren down to P9, loses 17 points. Afi loses 19 points. Carl Jr. losing 33. Orel losing 40 points. Massa losing 18. 38 points lost for Papu, 4 points lost for Matt, and Pack losing 28 points. Absolute chaos Evon taking a map win for the first time, I think, in the TrackMania Grand League history, in his TrackMania Grand League career. So good going from Evon, moving up to 37 points and actually taking the second place in the step with Gwen up into first place with 44 points. 33 points for Scrappy in third, 26 points for Yannick in fourth, and 24 for Tween in fifth as we head into the sixth and final map of the day, and it is going to be Dune by table. Hello, hello, ML Chris Han, sorry, I completely messed up, I always completely butcher your name. So, heading into the final map, Gwen leading the step with 44 points, Evon second with 37, Scrappy third with 33, Yannick fourth with 26, Tween fifth with 24, Kappa sixth with 23, 19 for Spam in seventh place, and 14 points for Riolu in P4. So the identity here is comprised of this series of U-turns with reactor boosts. Here, the key here is to actually orient the car into a bit of a get your car at an angle at the exit of the set jump at the drop down, hit the ring, and get your car into a buck slide angle to actually get the nice dirt slide to go through the U-turn faster. If you're feeling adventurous, again, try to get both right-hand side wheels to come across this gap without clipping. So one right U-turn followed by a left U-turn and followed by a second right U-turn, which goes across the start finish, which then leads you to the start finish line to come across and start a brand new lap. On this map, let me actually check in on TrackMania.io. Tweens finds himself in P8 in pace, and it's going to be really interesting to see how the pace, in terms of pace, this shakes out and translates into the real world. Identity crossing for Tween. Now, it is remember that this is not the shortest map that we've seen. The previous map was actually the shortest map that we've seen in the Grand League, with a lot of times closer to the minute mark and potentially even going below, and potentially even could have been even below that. Granted, another construction. Anyways, sixth and final map. Get some hype for Tween, even though it's not going to be getting in to the counter of cheers. Spam go Tween in chat. This could be a big moment for him. Give him your energy. Whole shot after checkpoint 1 will be Tween, in fact, emerging in the lead in front of Yannick. Currently at the tail end of the field, we find Afi and Carl Jr. at the present moment. Heading towards the grass turn right now, it is looking like Gwen and Aurel are emerging in the lead alongside Kappa. Tween currently in the thick of the pack at the exit of this said grass part. Carl Jr. towards the end of the pack. Nobody making big mistakes so far in this race, with Afi having a bit of a sketchy line through there, but still managing to avoid contact with the wall. Through the platform they go. Gwen in the lead in front of Masa and Papu in second and third. Tween currently sitting in P7, right in the thick of the pack as we head into the negative camber part of the grass turn. Edging closer and closer towards the end of the first lap, really close to the CP on the outside. That could have been catastrophic if there was a clip in there. Currently, Carl Jr. at the tail end of the field, but 3/10 down on the 8th place needed for safety. Now comes the transfer jump, then the identity comes up. It's going to be really key to get all the reactor boost grass slides down. Carl going for a higher jump, making a bit of a safer way through there. Now let's actually see if there's anyone missing. Pack has lost the grass slide. Riolu has lost the slide as well. Not a good angle. Let's actually see if there's anyone else making a mistake. Evon having touched a bit of the back, but still remaining in the fight. Pack and Riolu, though, are down in 15th and 16th place at the moment. Pack making another mistake. He's down. He's going to be respawning forever. That might be no point score if he respawns too much. It's going to be really something devastating if that happens. We're going to have to be careful on how this goes on behalf of Pack. So, at the lead, Kappa, Bren in first and second, and Afi, Masa, and Papu battling for the top 3 positions at the moment, with Gwen also getting into the mix. Tween and Yannick in P7 and P8, and then just behind we find Matt, Scrappy, and Spam. Then Evon a little bit further behind, Carl Jr. a little bit further behind. They're the last ones to be within a second of top 8 needed for safety. Aurel in P14, and then Pack and Riolu, having made mistakes, are in P15 and P16 respectively. Tween currently sitting at the on the verge of the top 8, right on the edge of the top 8. He's in the right in the hot seat as Scrappy overtakes him, demotes him down to P9. As we're heading into the identity for the second time, let's actually check in the perspective of the nearest chaser, which is currently Spam, trying to gauge that top 6 fight at the moment. Yannick's going for a really high line through there, and thus dropping a lot of speed at the entry, dropping a lot of time at the entry to the checkpoint. Grass slide. Oh no, what happened to Tween? What happened to Tween? No! No! Tween has completely messed up! He's down in P14! Oh no! And the sledge landing as well. He's gonna have to double tap it and respawns at the standstill, and he's down in last place. If I recall, no, he's down in P15. Pack is even further behind him, and Pack is having a pretty hard time in this identity. So Bren, Kappa, and Papu 1, 2, and 3. Afi in P4, Gwen in 5th, Masa 6, Scrappy and Evon in P7 and 8. But actually, Evon battling with Matt in for the benefit of 8th position. Remember, there's 37 points at stake for Evon. He's got the most to lose out of it. Meanwhile, Gwen, 44 points, is looking pretty safe up here in 4th place. Looking safe to actually score these decent points unless a mistake happens. Gwen, youngest in the field, exactly 16 years old only. He got his 16th birthday in August in this year. So, yeah, indeed, the youngest man in the field compared to Spam, currently sitting in P14, the 26th. The oldest player in the field at 26 years old, the oldest driver in the field, and just behind him we find Kappa, who had his birthday a little bit earlier this week. So happy belated birthday, Martin Krumpolch, 2018 world champion, who takes the lead from Bren, heading into lap number 4 with perfect grass slides from with perfect dirt slides from Kappa. Afi in 2nd, Gwen in 3rd. Actually, Bren down to P6 after a pretty sluggish identity through here. Masa up into P4, Scrappy in P5, Aurel and Evon in 7th and 8th, as Matt is trying to reel back in Evon and Carl Jr. for the benefit of top 8 at the moment. Evon looking to keep those 37 points and get another decent step after showing so much promise in the very end of it, in the very last step that we played last time around. Kappa currently holding the lead steady, but Afi and Gwen, the two rookies, are having a battle between each other. Currently, it is Gwen who has the most to lose compared to Afi. Afi only 5 points on the board, 44 for Gwen. If Gwen makes a mistake, it might very well be well and truly game over if he drops too much time after a mistake is made. Meanwhile, Matt and Carl Jr. battling for P9 at the moment, trying to catch back up to Evon at the very moment. Evon currently holding P8 slow and steady, having a bit of a stranglehold on P8 at the very moment. Kappa going higher up than Afi and Gwen, so Gwen takes the lead after the checkpoint. Onto the identity they go. Kappa going really risky through there. Gwen going really wide. Afi touching the ring. It's gonna be losing a ton of time for the Swiss driver, and he's gonna be down in the depths of P8 and even P9. Alright, as a result of that, oh no, P7 for him. Carl Jr. in P9, he's just next to Matt and Carl, that's to Matt and Afi. Matt is up into the top 8, but with a slow line through there, Carl moves through into the top 8. Afi down to P7 after that mistake. Gwen in 2nd place. Masa up in 3rd. Kappa has retrieved the lead, half a second up on Gwen. Papu currently the fastest man on track with a 120.69. Having a bit of a trouble on this map though. Down in P11 is the Gamers Origin driver. Spam down in P12. Currently, Yannick is the one with the most points that could lose out with 26 points, and he seems as though he's got a connection issue, so he might be completely down for Yannick, who is not going to be scoring anything out of this. So yeah, Yannick might have had a bit of an issue, technical issue on his side, that is going to rob him of any points that he might have been able to score. Meanwhile, Kappa, towards the end of lap 5, holds a 7/10 lead over Gwen in 2nd place. Then a further bit behind, we find Masa in P3, Scrappy in P4, Aurel and Evon in 5th and 6th, Afi and Carl Jr. in 7th and 8th. Matt just behind him, 2/10 down on Carl Jr. at the present moment, trying to recoup that 8th place finish and trying to actually get a top 8 finish for once in this particular Grand League season, as we're seeing everybody managing to get through. No, Afi made a mistake, and he's actually had a really sketchy landing, and he's down outside of the top 8, unfortunately for the Swiss. And onto the final lap we go with the leader, Kappa, in the lead by 1 second in front of Gwen. So Gwen might seem like he's currently getting this one home, getting this step home, and getting himself some juicy points in the Grand League, and potentially overtaking Pac in the standings and Papu as well, who are not going to be scoring many points at all. Yannick has indeed retired, so the second retirement of this step is that of Yannick. He will not have any points on the board after this step is said and done. After this final lap, currently Kappa holding strong in 1st place. The 2018 world champion, looking super solid indeed. Masa in P3 looking to be solidly anchored in 3rd place as well. Aurel in P4 having a bit of a lonely race. 5th place for Evon right now. 6th for Scrappy. Brennan, Matt in 7th and 8th, and Carl Jr. is down in P10 after Papu managed to overtake him. Matt is currently in the top 8. This could be a top 8 finish for Matt. We're going to have to see how this goes. Meanwhile, we're getting through the identity for the final time for Kappa and Gwen at the present moment. Will there be a heartbreak for all the top 2 at the very present moment? Kappa managing to go through the first, going through the second pretty much perfectly here. And the third one, Kappa will win the map ahead of Gwen and get himself some juicy points on the board. Gwen second, Aurel third, Masa fourth, Evon fifth, Brent sixth, Papu in seventh, and Scrappy will get himself into P8 after Matt made a mistake at the final turn. No, Carl Jr. sniping Scrappy at the line for top 8. Scrappy 9th loses 33 points. Alfie losing 5 points. Spam 19 points lost, 2 points lost for Matt in the actually a few points scored for Matt in this instance. 24 points lost for Tween. Unfortunately, that is absolutely devastating after such a good showing on map number 5. Ryulu down in P14, P15 for Pac. He will not score any points, so 2 no-point scorers with Yanix and Pac not getting any points on the board whatsoever. And so Gwen with 58 points will win his second straight Grand League step win. And so the second Grand League win of his career is for the youngster at the present moment. 58 points at the end for Gwen in first place. 46 for Evon in second place. Great step from the Team Secret player. Kappa in third place with 43 points from Veloce Esports. Aurel, 16 points on the board at the end with fourth place. Masa and Bren, 13 points for fifth and sixth. Seventh place for Papu with 12 points. Eighth place for Carl with 10 points. 5 points for Afi and Scrappy in 9th and 10th. Spam 11th and Matt 12th with 4 points. 3 points for Tween and Ryulu in 13th and 14th. And no points at all for Pac and Yanix. As a result of that, well, it is Gwen taking the Grand League lead, one step away from the end of the regular season. 193 points for Gwen in first place, 182 for Carl Jr. in second place, 160 for Papu in third place. Pac moving down the fourth with 158, 136 for Afi in P5, Kappa up into P6 with 114 and 107 point equal point standings for Spam and Masa, with Spam having a much higher finish, having a higher place on countback of finishes if I recall correctly. Evon down to P9, moving up to P9, sorry, with 88 points. So it could still be in with a shot at the playoff spot in on behalf of Team Secret. Aurel in P10 with 70 points, 65 for Scrappy in 11th. Tween still in 12th with 44. It is looking more and more like hard work for Tween for the playoff spot. Yanix 13th with 35 points, 14 points for Bren with 28, 15 points for Ryulu in 15th, and 16th and last place for Matt with 14 points.